6 years.
3 beloved isles.
1 beloved station, Radio Cayman.
The voice.
The heart.
The soul of the Cayman Islands.
For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury. West Bay Pharmacy, taking care of your health. And JN Money.
From abroad to yard.
Fast, affordable, convenient. Doctors Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital. Always there for you. Call 949-6066. And giversplanet.com. Cayman's online platform for fundraising and charitable donations.
This is For the Record with Ort Connor.
Coming to you live from Radio Cayman Studio.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you. For the record. Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Are Connor.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, O land of soft, fresh breezes and verdant trees. So fair. Today is the 4th day of May 2022, right here in the beautiful Cayman Islands. We hope and we trust that everyone had a restful, peaceful, enjoyable evening. Those of you who are on the roads of the Cayman Islands, some portions may be wet. Whether you're a pedestrian or a cyclist or operating any type of motorized vehicle, we urge you to please be extremely cautious. Ensure that you observe the rules of the road, and by so doing, the life you save may just be your own. For those of you who are celebrating a birthday today, we wish you a happy birthday, or if you celebrated one over the past few days, a belated happy birthday to you as well. Those of you who may be celebrating an anniversary today, wedding anniversary, we want to wish you a happy anniversary as well, and want to send out belated happy anniversary greetings to Miss Carrie Nixon and Mr. Reginald Nixon, Reggie Nixon. They celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary yesterday as well. And, of course, high school sweethearts. So it goes back quite a while, high school sweethearts, and they are still happily married as well. And at the same time, we want to also extend our condolences, our sincere condolences to the family as well, the Nixon family, on the loss of a family member, Mr. Eldon Nixon, in my age group, well known. Remember on Christmas, we used to play Indians and Cowboys, and Eldon and Reggie and John, and I believe Kirky was more, a little bit of our age group, but they would have build a ranch in their yard, and Cowboys and Indians. But that ranch was almost like a house, because, of course, most of the Nixon clan are very, very adept with their hands. They're skilled tradesmen. That runs in family as well. And so Eldon was well known. Also, many people will recall seeing him riding his bike through town. And of course, where he had his medical incident, and Smith's Back there, famous for riding there and swimming as well. So we want to extend our sincere condolences to that family as well, while at the same time congratulating Reggie and Miss Carey on their 50th wedding anniversary. So those of you also who have lost loved ones, we want to extend our sincere condolences to you. We hope and we trust that your faith will help to carry you through these extremely challenging times, and that the memories of your loved ones will be a blessing to you as well. Those of you who are ill and are either at home or at a medical facility, we wish you a speedy recovery as well. So, folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman, and by extension For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, wherever that may be. As you know, For the Record is a show produced by the staff and management of Radio Cayman, and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they rise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I am your host, Are Connor, and you're welcome to join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 10 a.m. During that period, our phone lines are open. Beautiful radio voice of Miss Susan Watson here waiting to take your calls again this morning. You can call us on our toll-free number provided courtesy of Flow. That toll-free number, 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037 and 949-6990. Email us at For the Record, one word, For the Record, at candw.ky. WhatsApp us 925-3261, where you can send us a text message or leave us a voice note, contents of which will be played during the course of the show. And of course, you can follow us on YouTube simply by subscribing to Radio Cayman live stream. At 8:30 this morning, we will have guests in the studio, and I will give you more information about our guests later on as well. Meanwhile, the first thing that I want to do this morning is give you the latest update that I have as far as COVID-19 report in the Cayman Islands is concerned, and you may have already heard this on Radio Cayman News this morning at 7 o'clock, but we will share it with you again. And these were figures that were issued by Public Health on the 3rd of May, yesterday. So on positive cases reported to Public Health during this period were Sunday, the 1st of May, 76 cases. Monday, the 2nd of May, 117 cases. We are told that there are 1,227 estimated active cases of COVID-19 in the Cayman Islands. 7 persons are currently hospitalized for COVID-19 related causes, 4 of whom are unvaccinated. The 7-day rolling average for May the 3rd is 92. The Sister Islands reported 26 new cases as well. And that gives since the start of the pandemic, that gives the Sister Islands total of 775 cases. So we see that 7-day rolling average ticking up somewhat, up to 92 in last week as well. So again, folks, what it tells us is we cannot let our guard down. We still have to continue to remain cautious, follow all of the protocols that are in place as well. Okay, what else are we going to share? This day in history, today, the 4th of May. On the 4th of May, 1979, the woman known as the Iron Lady was sworn in. So on this day in 1979, Margaret Thatcher became the United Kingdom's first female prime minister after her Conservative Party secured a majority vote in the election for the House of Parliament. Nicknamed the Iron Lady for her toughness, Thatcher transformed Britain during her 11 years in office, but also proved to be a controversial and divisive leader. Thatcher was close friends with allies with fellow Conservative President Ronald Reagan, who shared her pro-business and fiercely anti-communist views. As Prime Minister, she oversaw Britain's victory in the Falklands War with Argentina, lowered taxes, and privatized state-owned companies. She also attempted to dismantle the UK's welfare state, selling off public housing and attacking trade unions and making deep cuts to social programs that provided a safety net for many citizens, but which she argued were a hindrance to economic self-reliance. While some prospered during her premiership, the UK saw record high unemployment and a series of strikes and protests over her policies. Internal party divisions during Thatcher's third term led to her resignation in 1990. Despite the controversies, Thatcher received numerous honors for her service, including the prestigious Order of Merit from Queen Elizabeth II. Her impactful career was depleted in the her impactful career was depicted in the 2011 film The Iron Lady, starring Meryl Streep, and Netflix TV series The Crown. So, there you have it. This day in history, May the 4th, 1979, Margaret Thatcher became the first female prime minister in the United Kingdom. We do have a caller. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, O.C. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm fine. How are you?
I am awesome. Sun is up, shining bright.
Good. Great.
And you know, one of Margaret Thatcher's famous saying, the right man for the job is a woman.
Yes.
Well, tomorrow is a big day in Mexico. It's called Cinco de Mayo.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also my wife's birthday.
Okay. So I want to wish her a happy birthday in advance, since
Thanks.
I'll have to wish her a belated one on Friday.
So, and she shares birthday then with her sister because they're twins.
Okay.
So, yeah. So we just got to enjoy our lives while we have them.
That is certain. That is definitely certainly something that we have to do. Yes. Okay.
And anyway, take care.
Thank you. You do the same as well. Okay. Excellent. Okay. One local story. You want to take the break now, Ms. Susan? Okay. We'll take the break now. When we return, what we'll do, I have a few local news items that releases. One having to do with the Deputy Governor issuing a statement on the findings of the Office of the Auditor General report on the Dubai World Expo and the Cayman Islands Overseas Office. I think this is extremely important based on what we saw happened in the British Virgin Islands and the Commission of Inquiry's report there in terms of, some of the things that were allegedly done by public servants. So please stay tuned. For the record, it's going to take a commercial break and we will be back shortly.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. The Cayman Islands, He hath founded it upon the seas.
In February 1994, the Cayman Islands saw the historic first knighting of Sir Vassal Johnson after a civil service career spanning nearly 50 years. Although he personally credited expatriates James MacDonald and William Grundy for their architectural work in the design of the various company laws of the 1960s, it was Sir Vassal who has been credited with being the steady force behind the Cayman Islands' rise throughout the world of international finance. Born to East Indian parents in Jamaica in 1922, Sir Vassal moved to the Cayman Islands with his mother in 1934. He began working as a clerk in the court in 1942, and after serving in the war efforts, rejoined the civil service and began his steady climb through the government ranks. In 1972, Sir Vassal was appointed the first financial secretary, which he held for 10 years, and remained on the board of the Monetary Authority for many years after.
Since 1993, Rotary Central has worked diligently each year to provide quality bus shelters to our community. a traveling convenience to our school children, the elderly, young people going to work, guest workers, and visitors using the public bus. We, Rotary Central, help you, our advertisers, make it happen. Your marketing dollar travels a far way. Positioning your message, your product, your services, your presence in over 83 bus shelters. Every dollar you spend, every advert you place helps to build another bus shelter, providing modest comfort for Cayman travelers. Reserve space now on the only billboard medium in the Cayman Islands. Email rotaryshelters@gmail.com. rotaryshelters@gmail.com. The Bus Shelters, a partner in community convenience. Another inspiration program by Rotary Central Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman's historical vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
JN Money, money touchdown. Send the money now, reach wow. You say you need some money, JN Money, I can send it in a hurry. Get through quick when you come collect your cash, or use your money card and swipe it in a flash. Send funds to any bank, yeah. Pay your bills quick, yeah. Low fees, you know what it, yeah. JN Money, we are pick, yeah. Send and receive funds at any JN Money location. It's fast, affordable, and convenient. Money touchdown with JN Money. Send funds to any bank, yeah. Pay your bills quick, yeah. Low fees, you know what it, yeah. JN Money, we are pick, yeah.
Call 345-945-2014 for details. Available at JN Money locations across the Cayman Islands.
We think it's time you crossed over to a new vehicle. And with the Toyota Corolla Cross now at Vamt Motors, you have plenty of reasons to make the switch. The crossover body and hybrid engine is a sleek design in a sturdy structure with a spacious interior that opens to extensive cargo space. Stuck in traffic? The high-performance self-charging hybrid system automatically switches between gas and electric vehicle mode, helping you lower both fuel costs and carbon emissions. The Corolla Cross has full LED lighting inside and out, an integrated display audio system with energy monitor, and a dual-zone climate control system to ensure comfort for all. Test drive the new Toyota Corolla Cross Hybrid today at Vamt Motors, Walkers Road.
Hi, I'm remodeling our bathroom. I have a few questions.
Sure.
What are some ideas to make my bathroom feel larger? How do I know if I'm picking the right vanity? How do I choose a new toilet or a new countertop? Also, the lighting is terrible. Can I put a window or a skylight? And do I really need an exhaust fan?
You've come to the right place. At Brand Source, we custom design kitchen and baths, and our talented design team can help answer your questions. Whether you're looking for a modern, functional family bathroom or a luxurious personal retreat, we'll help create that beautiful space that makes your home yours. And if you're in a rush for a new look and have a limited budget, our ready-to-install bathroom vanities, built with solid wood and countertops of the finest materials, are a quick and easy remodeling solution.
For the very best in custom-designed kitchens and baths, visit Brand Source Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, Cayman's Kitchen and Bath Center.
Since March 2004, West Bay Pharmacy has kept their doors open to the local communities, even before, during, and after Hurricane Ivan. At West Bay Pharmacy, our staff provides so much more than pharmaceutical excellence. From the moment you walk through our doors to completing your cash out, our staff will have put your healthcare concerns at ease. We would like to take this moment to thank our loyal friends and customers. To us at West Bay Pharmacy, our patients are our primary concern. We provide thorough background checks and precise calculations to ensure your medical safety. Thank you for being a part of our family and for choosing West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
At Doctor's Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctor's Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Ort Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. As promised, I am going to share with you the statement issued by the Deputy Governor, Honorable Franz Manderson, on the findings of the Auditor General report on the Dubai World Expo and Cayman Islands Overseas Office. I also want to point out to you that the opposition has issued a statement in regards to the Deputy Governor's statement as well. I'm not sure whether or not I'll have time to read that before the 8 o'clock news. And I also want to say that they would normally be on this morning and would have been in a position to address this and to speak about their release, but they have given way to our guests that we're going to have in the studio this morning, and they have then opted to come on Friday's show as opposed to today's show, and I want to thank them for agreeing, to that change as well. So, the statement issued yesterday, 3rd of May, Deputy Governor Honorable Franz Manderson has concluded his internal investigation resulting from the Office of the Auditor General report entitled, quote, the Dubai World Expo and the Cayman Islands Overseas Offices examination of potential breaches to legislation, close quote, which was unfortunately leaked before the internal investigation had concluded. And you know about that leak that took place as well. Of course, there's a more famous and popular leak happening in the United States that happened a few days ago in relation to the leaking of the draft decision of the Supreme Court in the United States in relation to abortion issues. So the release goes on to say, for background, on the 21st of July 2021, the Governor, Mr. Martin Roper, and the Deputy Governor were asked to commission an independent review into the decisions taken around the Cayman Islands' participation in the Dubai World Expo, as well as the opening of the Cayman Islands overseas offices in Brussels, Hong Kong, and Washington, D.C. As a result, the Office of the Auditor General was tasked with establishing facts on a number of matters to support a wider review, and the office presented its findings in November of 2021. In its report, the Office of the Auditor General found that there had been breaches of the Cayman Islands Constitution, the Public Management and Finance Act, and the Public Service Management Act by the Ministry of International Trade, Investigation, Aviation, and Maritime Affairs. The OAG also highlighted irregularities around some of the HR practices used to employ staff associated with the Dubai World Expo and Overseas Office. Additionally, the report stated that clear guidance was lacking on how the civil service should conduct themselves in relation to the implementation of certain government policies once an election had been called. The Deputy Governor has now concluded an internal investigation arising from the OAG report. The internal investigation included a careful review of the OAG report, obtaining responses from the ministry, a review of the ministry's audited financial statements, legal advice from the Attorney General's chambers, and independent reports from internal audit. The most serious findings by the OAG was that the ministry breached Section 12 of the Public Management and Finance Act and the Constitution by spending funds that were not appropriated by Parliament. it has been determined in the Deputy Governor's investigation now that the 2021 financial statements for the ministry have been completed, that sufficient funds were available to meet necessary costs associated with the Dubai World Expo and the opening of the overseas offices without the need for either the Section 11(5) or Section 12 funding requested in January of 2021. Given this, there was no breach of Section 12 of the Public Management and Finance Act or the Constitution. Auditor General Ms. Sue Winspear stated, and she's quoted saying, "I agree that technically there is no breach of the Public Management and Finance Act, as the funds requested for 2021 were not actually needed after all. After the election, activities relating to the new overseas offices and Dubai World Expo were scaled back as a consequence of the different priorities of the new government, and so the actual costs were able to be funded from within the existing 2021 budget for that ministry, and the underspend that was carried forward from 2020. Again, this is the Auditor General speaking. I prefaced my report by stating that I presumed the funds requested and agreed by Cabinet in January 2021 were both necessary and requested in good faith. The commitment to the additional staffing costs, of course, continues beyond 2021. The Office of the Auditor General report raised material issues about the conduct of the civil service, and as such, it should have been treated with the highest level of confidentiality in order to allow the entire review process to conclude fairly. It was for this reason that both the Governor and the Deputy Governor condemned the leak. His Excellency the Governor, Mr. Martin Roper, said the Deputy Governor has fully investigated all the issues arising from the initial OAG report, including taking into account further relevant information and advice. The Governor is quoted as saying, I am satisfied that the Deputy Governor's investigation has been carried out comprehensively and objectively in the interest of fairness to all concerned. It is unfortunate that the press commentary after the leaking of the OAG report and before the Deputy Governor's full investigation was complete led to inaccurate and skewed views being aired in public. Notwithstanding the findings of the Deputy Governor's investigation, I am grateful to the Office of the Auditor General and the Deputy Governor for ensuring that going forward, this jurisdiction has learned important lessons for the future, especially the need for clearer policies and practices during periods of election sensitivity. The Deputy Governor is quoted as saying, as a civil service, we continually look for ways to improve and therefore welcome constructive reports which provide opportunities to further develop our civil service policies and procedures. As a consequence of the OAG report, we have now developed a formal policy entitled Period of Election Sensitivity. Once approved by Cabinet, this guidance will provide clear information on how civil servants and ministers should conduct government business once an election has been called. And I'm going to add my 5 cents there, because when I was Cabinet Secretary, this was one of the things that I pushed for. It was also one of the things that the former Supervisor of Elections, Mr. Kearney Gomez, advocated for as well, because it was something that we did not have documented. There were not clear set rules for it, and we were basically making up things as we went along, and we know how dangerous that can be. So it is good to see now that a formal policy entitled Period of Election Sensitivity is going to come out as well. Not to say that there's so many other things that we need to do when it comes to elections. Election financing, a big thing, and we are ignoring that. And folks, there's more and more money circulating in the Cayman Islands, which means more and more potential for corruption as well. We need to address election financing. Top of the hour, 8 o'clock news. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back immediately after the 8 o'clock news.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. And studio time now by Foster's is 8 o'clock.
When you're on the go, the experienced team at Foster's Pharmacy are here to help. Drop off your prescription while you shop or WhatsApp us and we'll prepare it, ready for your arrival.
Whether you need prescription or over-the-counter medications, blood glucose testing, or advice on vitamins and supplements, we're here early in the morning to late at night. Both of our locations at our Camana Bay and airport stores are open 7 a.m. to 9 p.m., Monday to Saturday.
For more info, visit fosters.ky/pharmacy. Foster's Pharmacy. Better health because we care.
The voice of the Cayman Islands.
89.9 FM in Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman.
Silver wings shining in the sunlight.
Radio Cayman.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
For today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Good morning. With a look at Radio Cayman's 8 o'clock morning news, I'm Dion Anglin. The members of the opposition welcomed the release of the Deputy Governor's statement on the Office of the Auditor General's findings on the Dubai World Expo and the Cayman Islands overseas offices. The opposition said the Deputy Governor's statement confirms that the Auditor General was incorrect in her findings in the report that the spending on the Dubai Expo and the overseas offices was unlawful. They said in her report she wrongfully concluded that this spending breached both the Constitution and the Public Management and Finance Act, the PMFA. However, the opposition said what is worth considering is that both the overseas offices and the Dubai Expo were in the works for many months. They said both had the support of the United Kingdom and the Governor's office, given their strategic importance to our islands, particularly to financial services. On behalf of the opposition, Mr. Roy Tatum said, as he mentioned before, including in his public statement last February, that in their view, the Auditor General was gravely mistaken in several areas of the report, saying that the statement by the Deputy Governor confirms this. The Deputy Governor said categorically there was no breach of Section 12 of the PMFA or the Constitution. Mr. Tatum said it is unfortunate that the report, with its inaccuracies, was unlawfully leaked. He said the consequence of the leak was to have the reputation of hardworking civil servants tarnished by the serious, albeit inaccurate, allegations leveled in the report. In other local news,
the work of internal audit is absolutely essential for our good governance and the way in which we work in the civil service. I rely on them heavily to, when there are areas of concern, for them to go in and give me a unbiased report on whatever is happening in a government department or a civil service entity.
The Deputy Governor and Head of the Civil Service, the Honourable Franz Mandison, on Radio Cayman's Business Buzz this week.
So along with the Auditor General, the Ombudsman, internal audit plays a key role in our governance across the Cayman Islands government. If you look at what has happened recently in BVI, for example, that can say right now that will not happen in Cayman, because of internal audit, because of our Auditor General, because of our oversight bodies that we have in the Cayman Islands.
May is International Auditor Awareness Month, as internal auditors around the world share the work they do and how it benefits our community with its commitment to due governance and risk management. Now for a look at news from around the world, here's the BBC.
BBC News. Hello, this is Jerry Smith. The European Commission President has announced plans for a total ban on oil imports from Russia as part of the latest round of sanctions against Moscow. Ursula von der Leyen told the European Parliament the Russian crude and refined oil products would be phased out by the end of this year. Bethany Bell reports.
Ursula von der Leyen said Vladimir Putin must pay a high price for what she called his brutal aggression in Ukraine. She admitted the step would not be easy, with a number of EU states heavily dependent on Russian oil. Hungary has so far opposed sanctions on Russian energy. Diplomats have suggested that it and Slovakia could be given more time to bring in the ban. The Commission's package of sanctions also includes measures against Russia's banks and high-ranking Russian military officers accused of war crimes in Bucha and Mariupol.
President Putin's spokesman, Dmitry Peskov, has dismissed the EU's energy proposals as just plans. Our correspondent in Moscow, Jenny Hill, has more details.
The Kremlin is taking the calculation that it could take some time for the EU to come up with a coordinated response to its position when it comes to Russian energy supplies, not just oil, of course, but gas too. He also made the oft-repeated point here in Moscow that this is somewhat of a double-edged sword from the EU's perspective. People here are often told that any embargo on Russian gas supplies from Europe would hurt, in effect, Europe just as much, if not more, than it would hurt Russia in terms of revenue.
Taiwan has reported a record daily high of more than 28,000 COVID cases, but the island is continuing with its plan to relax pandemic restrictions. It's reducing the quarantine period for new arrivals from 10 days to 7. A mobile phone top-up card with 50 cents worth of credit has helped to raise about $1 million for an Egyptian charity that provides care for premature babies. The card was donated by an anonymous woman who said she wanted to help the charity but didn't have any money. She said she would give the card's code number to anyone who made a payment to the Mersal Foundation. The charity organised an auction and the phone company agreed to match total donations.
That's the end of Radio Cayman's 8 o'clock morning news. I'm Dion Anglin.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com. Did you know that ValueMed Pharmacy has a free online prescription service? Managing your health and medical requirements has never been easier with ValueMed. Simply visit value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com and click the Refill Prescriptions tab on our website. Fill in the information for new prescriptions or refills and choose your preferred pickup location. ValueMed on Walkers Road or Boddentown. Then bring in your original prescription from your doctor when picking up. There's no need to stand in line and wait for your prescription. Save time and pick up prescriptions at your convenience by visiting value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
It's time to celebrate Mother's Day with savings at A.L. Thompson's. You can save 15% on housewares and 20% on select KitchenAid countertop appliances now through Saturday, May 7th. Take advantage of this spring promotion and purchase essential and luxury items in the Home Fashions Gallery of our Georgetown store. Visit the Appliance Gallery to select a KitchenAid blender, coffee maker, toaster, hand mixer, multi-cooker, and food processor. Happy Mother's Day from A.L. Thompson's.
Beyond Basics Medical Laser and Skincare is offering an incredible 30% off services in celebration of mamas. Visit beyondbasics.ky to shop online and save by using our promo code BBMAMA. Unwanted body hair and ingrowns? Experience laser hair removal from beyondbasics.ky. Scarring, fine lines, loose skin, and enlarged pores? Then experience microneedling, body slimming, and contouring from beyondbasics.ky. Dull, dry, and uneven skin tone? Experience the hydrofacial and peels from beyondbasics.ky. Give Mama the lifestyle of confidence and beauty transformations that will create significant change she will love forever. Shop with instant, easy pay online at beyondbasics.ky this Friday and Saturday only and enjoy 30% off services with the promo code BBMAMA.
The 8:12 a.m. weather report brought to you by CG Brit-K, where people come first.
Good morning, everyone. Hello? Hello? Oh, sorry, I was on mute. Okay, I see we have just about everyone, and of course Tom drops off, as per usual. Let's just wait a minute here. He always comes right back, and we're almost ready, and... oh, whoever's dog that is, please go on mute. Why won't it let me share my screen? Okay, looks like we're ready to start.
We're like a video conference with no technical issues. CG Brit-K. Good like that.
Good morning once again. Let's take a look at the latest weather report. Current temperature is 82 degrees, relative humidity 89%. The barometric pressure 29.96 inches and rising. The wind is out of the southeast at 4 knots. Overnight low temperature was 80 degrees. Synopsis indicate moderate southeasterly winds along with slight to moderate seas will continue across the Cayman area for the next 24 hours as a high-pressure system lingers over the western Atlantic Ocean. Satellite images show scattered low clouds over the Cayman area, which are slowly drifting towards the west. Now, the forecast for today calling for partly cloudy to cloudy skies with a 30% chance of showers, and temperatures will rise to the mid-80s. Winds will be east to southeast at 10 to 15 knots. Seas will be slight to moderate with wave heights of 2 to 4 feet. Tonight, partly cloudy skies with a 20% chance of showers and temperatures falling to the mid-70s tonight. Winds will be southeast at 10 to 15 knots. Seas will be slight to moderate with wave heights of 2 to 4 feet for tonight as well. We're presently at a low tide, and the next high tide will be this morning at 10:42 and a low tide again this evening at 5:25. The sun will set this evening at 6:48 and will rise tomorrow morning at 5:55. And the outlook is calling for similar weather conditions through Friday morning.
The 8:12 a.m. weather report brought to you by CG Britcay, where people come first.
Head east on Cove Road. Sharp left on Church Street. Sharper left. No, your other left. Did I say left? Nope, you missed it. Okay, I'm lost.
With money-saving bundling options for home and motor, we're like a GPS that doesn't steer you wrong. CG Britcay. Good like that.
Let's stop and ask for directions.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Top of the morning to you. Let's take a look at how the traffic is shaping up this morning. Busy traffic coming off of the Esteli Tibbetts Highway. And traffic is steady heading towards the Industrial Park area. North Sound Road, moderate flow of traffic in both directions. And busy traffic coming off of Bobby Thompson Way as well as Agnes Way. On the West Bay Road and from the Ritz, traffic is moderate in both directions. And the traffic into Georgetown on Shedden Road not looking too bad. Out of Georgetown on Shedden Road, flowing moderately, as well as Godfrey Dixon Way and Eastern Avenue. Traffic is busy on Crew Road heading to Georgetown, and eastbound traffic on Crew Road is moving on pretty good. And coming from the West Bay 4-way stop, traffic is moving on moderately. That's what's happening on your roads. If you've seen the accidents or incidents on Cayman's roads, give us a call here at Radio Cayman, 949-6990. Remember, click it or ticket. Have a good morning.
Subway makes it easy for you to stay on top of your health and wellness goals with our Fresh Fit menu options. Choose from 5 Fresh Fit Subway sandwiches with only 450 calories or less per 6-inch sub. Turkey breast, veggie, oven-roasted chicken, Black Forest ham, sweet onion chicken teriyaki, or make your 6-inch Fresh Fit sub into a salad or wrap prepared with fresh vegetables. For a full menu and nutritional information, visit subway.ky. Subway. Eat fresh.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Tune in every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. for Radio Cayman's Midday Newscast. Radio Cayman, the People's Station, your trusted official source for the latest news. The 12 p.m. news is proudly brought to you by Health City Cayman Islands. World-class healthcare within your reach.
Your Radio Cayman 6 p.m. news, Monday through Friday, is brought to you by Logic. Your life connected.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matters. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record at 8:30. We will have guests in the studio. I still have not announced yet who that guest is. I want to wait until they're here, and I will then provide you with some background information. So I did share with you the release issued by the Deputy Governor's Office in relation to the OAG's report. And what I am going to do now is, and you heard it on Radio Cayman's news as well, but in the interest of fairness, I will share with you the opposition's press release in response, and that was issued yesterday as well. And it reads, opposition response to the Deputy Governor's statement on the Dubai Expo and the overseas offices. Says here, on behalf of the members of the opposition, I welcome the release of the Deputy Governor's statement on the Office of the Auditor General's findings on the Dubai World Expo and the Cayman Islands overseas offices. The Deputy Governor's statement confirms that the Auditor General was incorrect in her findings in the report that the spending on the Dubai Expo and the overseas offices was unlawful. In her report, she wrongly concluded that this spending breached both the Constitution and the Public Management and Finance Act. What is worth considering is that both the overseas offices and the Dubai Expo were in the works for many months. Both had the support of the United Kingdom and the Governor's Office, given their strategic importance to our islands, particularly to financial services. Goes on to say, I have said before, including in my public statement in February, that in our view, the Auditor General was gravely mistaken in several areas of the report. Today's statement by the Deputy Governor confirms this. The Deputy Governor said categorically, quote, there was no breach of Section 12 of the Public Management and Finance Act or the Constitution, close of quote. It is unfortunate, the release goes on to say that it is unfortunate that the report with its inaccuracies was unlawfully leaked. The consequence of the leak was to have the reputation of hard-working civil servants tarnished by the serious, albeit inaccurate allegations leveled in the report. A further consequence of the leak was to have some in the media wrongly accuse members of the progressive government of wrongdoing. Indeed, the statement from the Deputy Governor refers to the views that were aired publicly as being skewed and inaccurate. I am pleased that these inaccuracies are now being corrected. His Excellency, the Governor, highlighted his disappointment with the leak and the shameful repercussions caused in the aftermath. I trust he and the Deputy Governor will also work to complete an inquiry into how the document was leaked and who leaked it, and take appropriate actions. And that ends the release from the progressives. Okay, switch gears a little bit. Oh, we have to call two calls. I'm sorry. I didn't realize that. I want to talk a little bit about BVI because this ties in so much with that. At least here, we were able to some of our dirty linen was aired in public, but at the end of the day, we were able to get it all washed, put it in the washing machine, and put it in the dryer rather than hanging it out on the clothesline. We have two callers. Let's go to the phone line. Three callers now. Let's go to the phone lines. First caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Morning.
Good morning.
You don't need a washing machine. They're slips and flops. And you need what? You talk the truth. Mr. Roy Burden told us that it is not a shame. You need a boiling can. And you need to explain what that is.
Well, you remember those days. You remember cooking oil used to come in cans. We didn't used to get them in the separate containers.
Beautiful
silver can, yeah. And when you went to the store, you carry your pint bottle with you, and you ordered and you paid for your cooking oil. When the cans were empty, you took them and you cut them open, and that is what people used to boil their clothes in.
Sustainability.
Yes.
But for a long time now, every now and again I will holler, we need campaign finance.
We need it badly
in this country.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't help me holler publicly, but you tell me you are hollering behind the scene. Well, it only takes two or more. The Bible tells you that, It only takes two. We would have had it long time ago, because maybe not everybody that is getting beat up needs to be beat up. Maybe they need the support, guidance. I don't know.
Yeah.
But our name is out there now, good and hard and heavy. And the two overseas territories now.
Yeah.
With foolishness flying over our heads. And I do not know why the political class, the leadership, the management of this country is so afraid of two things: campaign finance reform and that of Mr. Dana Warren's wish and desire, that recall vote.
Yeah. Now, Mr.
Because
Gilbert.
if we stand in tall, and not that I know anything, but my gut tells me if we stand in tall, we'll be okay.
Yeah. Strong advocate for campaign financing, Mr. Gilbert McLean. And we did, this would have been in the 90s or 2000, we did get some amendments to the election law in relation to campaign finance, but it really it didn't go far enough. But thank you very much for that. We're going to try to grab two more callers before our guests come in, and don't forget to listen in relation to that, because one of the things that I want to ask that writer about, he our guest in the studio, he did had an opinion in relation to remittances, and did something entitled Avoiding the Remittance Trap. And while we'll be talking about other things, I want to talk to him about remittances, ask him about that and get his views on that, because in the Cayman Islands, it is going out as opposed to coming in as well. So make sure you listen. Yeah, make sure you listen. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Let's grab the next caller. Good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. O'Connor.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Oh, I'm up and going. I'm thankful. You remember about a week ago or two, or a week and a half ago, I called
Yes, sir.
About this bank man. Well, I come to find I lost my money. They're not responsible for it. But it's a coincidence. I don't know if it's a coincidence, but the same day I withdrew some money from it, that's the same day it happened. And they're telling me they're not responsible. But if I give somebody something to hold for me, and their house I should have reported it to the police, but I reported it to them. They are the ones who supposed to report it to the police. And I got legal advice on this, and the little thing is so small, which it was very small. It would cost me more money to retain a lawyer to argue this case. But I'm going to put it on the air. I suggest and I believe that there is a mole in that bank. Somebody knows something, because I only use that bank to withdraw money every 2 months. And the same day I withdrew that money, somebody else did it the same day.
Okay, and it was it done electronically or was it done in person?
It must have been electronic.
Okay.
So I'm warning everybody, and I'm going to call the name of the bank.
We would prefer you not to, sir. We don't want to be held liable, legally liable. Prefer not to.
I appreciate that, but I advise them, but check their accounts frequently. I didn't check my account, because I said I only go to the bank once every 2 months and get it. But the little bit with the little amount was so small. It was just $5,000, but it was my money. I was one of the first people who owned one, and then I would be stealing from myself because I got a minute shares in it. So I would be stealing from myself. Yeah. But I just thought I'd put that on. Be careful with this particular bank. It's an old, it's not, anyhow, I just thought I'd get that in there. I'm 91 years old. I lost my money. So be careful.
Okay, thank you very much, Captain Paul. And you know, one of the things that you can always consider if you're not happy with the service that you're getting at any business, you can always take your business elsewhere as well. Sometimes that can be extremely impactful also. Let's grab another caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. Connor. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm fine, sir. How are you?
I just want to share my opinion on the conversation that you started off with the information that was leaked that kind of left egg on everybody's face. Two things I would just like to point out. One is that I feel that we need to plug these leaks because these leaks are causing an international reputation that, you know, if we have anything that is wrongfully leaked out and is not accurate information, we have a financial center that we depend on as one of our major pillars of our economy, and the last thing we need is to have some reputational rumors spreading that we as a government not able to manage small funds such as a trip to Dubai or wherever. And certainly we need to start fixing these leaks. We need to find who leaking this stuff and penalize them. That's number one. And number two, I need to ask the question, was the Auditor General equipped with the right information to make the assumptions that now we find out is wrong? So whether it was leaked or not, it is an indicator that the Auditor General had the wrong information and came to the wrong conclusion. And that in itself worries me because that position should be vetted and make sure that the proper person is in that position so that we don't have these sort of issues. Because certainly if they had the correct information and the interpretation of the information was correct, nobody couldn't leak bad information. So those are the two areas that I'm concerned in, and those are the areas I believe that Mr. Manderson need to now drill into and say, okay, where are these leaks coming from? Let's fix that. And two, why is the Auditor General not getting the correct information if that's in fact, or they just made a bad, or they're not good at their job, whatever the case.
Well, I think it's not the former. I think whether or not they did as in-depth research as they should have, and sometimes you're looking at things and you may miss something, but I believe the information was there, and they basically acknowledged that.
Well, I'll just leave by saying this: is that on that level of job, we're not paying you to miss anything. We're paying you to find everything. Yeah, that's the way I look at it, because our reputation depends on it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, that's all I had to say.
Okay. Thank you very much. Let's try to grab one more call before we go to the break because our guests are in the studio. So this one has to be very short. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Yes. Good morning, OT and Dr. Steve.
Good, Dr. Stephen here this morning. Just me. Good morning.
Okay. Yes. First, I want to say in relation to Captain Paul's information about his account being hacked. I had a friend yesterday reported that her account was hacked by that same bank, by someone from the Philippines. And they told her the same thing. So she has to be going through channels of legality. So I'm trying to recoup her money. Second is I am very disturbed by the report from the Deputy Governor that no breach was determined. Yeah.
No breach of the Constitution or the Public Management and Finance Law Act.
That's what they're saying. Right. But we know it was compromised because that decision was made before the next government was formed. And they did not know what the result of the elections were, and they should have waited. So that, again, shows you that the Auditor General had been made to capitulate. And this is why we will always have corruption in this country, because people in upper echelons of our society, when they do wrong, it is swept under the rug, or they are rewarded for these criminal activities. And that is my 2 cents.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for that, caller. Folks, it is 8:30. We're going to take a commercial break. We will have a guest in the studio. When we return, the phone lines will be closed while we discuss a very important topic as well. Oh, before I go, I want to a big shout out, happy birthday, belated happy birthday to Miss Lisa Galbraith as well. She celebrated her birthday yesterday. Belated happy birthdays to her. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
We think it's time you crossed over to a new vehicle. And with the Toyota Corolla Cross now at Vampt Motors, you have plenty of reasons to make the switch. The crossover body and hybrid engine is a sleek design in a sturdy structure with a spacious interior that opens to extensive cargo space. Stuck in traffic? The high-performance self-charging hybrid system automatically switches between gas and electric vehicle mode, helping you lower both fuel costs and carbon emissions. The Corolla Cross has full LED lighting inside and out, an integrated display audio system with energy monitor, and a dual-zone climate control system to ensure comfort for all. Test drive the new Toyota Corolla Cross Hybrid today at Vampt Motors, Walkers Road.
Every day in the Cayman Islands, nonprofits and their volunteers work tirelessly, improving our communities and the lives of the people within them.
With GiversPlanet.com, you can make a difference by supporting a fundraising effort or starting your own. Givers Planet provides an online solution to conveniently raise money for your worthy cause. Whether you are fundraising for medical needs, education, animal welfare, youth programs, religious missions, school PTA efforts, or a nonprofit.
Simply create your fundraiser at GiversPlanet.com and spread the word to your local and international supporters so that they can visit and make a secure online donation. Start fundraising online today with GiversPlanet.com.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice-cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, Cayman.
System 1 loaded. 1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the record.
This is For the Record with Ort Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. I am going to start my introduction by sharing this information with you first. So the Premier, in his Earth Day message, the Premier, Honorable Wayne Panton, in his Earth Day message, the Premier stated that he would be hosting a financial economist in the Cayman Islands. So that financial economist is Dr. Ralph Chami. He's here in the Cayman Islands. While here in the Cayman Islands, he will be attending a number of events. He will be sharing, and right on the show here this morning, he will be sharing with us the importance of economic prosperity that is sustained, inclusive, nature-friendly. Dr. Chami is a financial economist, assistant director at the International Monetary Fund, and co-founder of Rebalance Earth. A few weeks ago, Dr. Chami was in Vancouver, Canada, as part of the TED 2020 lineup. He spoke about evaluation of biodiversity and the important ecosystem services provided by keystone species. And we have much more information on Dr. Chami, and I hope I'm pronouncing that well.
That is correct.
But I want to say good morning to him. I want to welcome him to For the Record. And what I'd love for you to do is what I have left out. You can fill in all of the blanks as well. Good morning, sir. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, and thank you so much for this incredible opportunity first to visit your incredibly beautiful islands, and the chance to have a chat with you and the audience about the value of biodiversity for our ecosystem services. I've been working at the IMF for about 24 years. And I came into this work by sheer mistake. I just was confiding in a friend of mine that on my bucket list was to see the blue whales. What I did not know that this friend of mine was part of a research group that was studying the blue whales and the great whales in the Sea of Cortez, which is in Baja on the Mexican side. So pretty soon I found myself on a boat with a bunch of scientists studying the largest creature that ever lived on this planet, and that's the blue whale. It's larger than any dinosaur you can imagine. So we are in a 25-foot boat, and she is feeding right next to us, and she's about 120 foot long. Wow. And the volume is beyond your imagination. Just to give an idea to your audience, a blue whale, you can fit the largest African elephant in her mouth, would disappear completely. Wow. And yet this incredible, beautiful creature is feeding quietly next to us. And you know, if you have an iota of a soul in your body, you realize what a beautiful, beautiful world this is. And I, of course, my world is a world of suits, ties, and negotiating with governments. And here I am with eight whale researchers and scientists, and I'm thinking, what is this? Anyway, make a long story short, what I discovered from the scientists is what the whales do for us, beyond their intrinsic beauty. Mm-hmm. And it turns out to be in the world of science, and the scientists had known about it for quite some time, is that the whales are incredible allies in the fight against climate change. In what sense? As you know, climate change is upon us. And the whole world is now occupied or preoccupied with how to reduce our carbon footprint. Mm-hmm. And so the world has made commitments for carbon zero, carbon negative, carbon neutral. Turns out that these whales, through the way they eat, and I assume you've had your breakfast already? Good. And the way they poop. They do an incredible thing. So if you allow me, I'll just describe very quickly.
Sure.
Okay.
Mike is yours.
So these whales accumulate carbon. We are all carbon creatures. We all have carbon in us. But the great whales, on average, accumulate about 9 tons of carbon in their body. If you convert it to carbon dioxide, you multiply it by 11 over 3. That's about 33 tons of carbon dioxide being kept out of the atmosphere by simply being on the body of a great whale. That's equivalent to the work of about 1,500 trees, one whale. Now, when that whale dies at some point, naturally or due to accidents in the water, they sink to the bottom of the ocean. And because they're so heavy, they don't float, they sink. Mm-hmm. And anything that goes below 1,000 meters is pretty much sequestered forever. So, in a sense, the whales are keeping 33 tons of carbon dioxide from going up into the atmosphere. But it gets better. Those whales, they feed, of course, on what? On the smallest creatures you can imagine, called the krill. Yeah. Because they eat a lot, they poop a lot. The poop of the great whales, before I get to that, so the whales eat krill, and the krill eats on something. Mm-hmm. Directly or indirectly, they feed on phytoplankton. And phytoplankton, you have it in your beautiful ocean here. Phytoplankton is very special to us because phytoplankton are the lungs of the planet. What people don't know, people always think that it's the trees. It's not the trees. It's the ocean. After all, the Earth is 4/5 water.
Yes.
So in the ocean lives these microscopic organisms called phytoplankton, and they do something very special. They capture about 37 gigatons of carbon dioxide per year. What is that equivalent to? That's equivalent to the carbon dioxide captured by 4 Amazon forests per year. And they grab carbon dioxide, they do photosynthesis, and they return oxygen. Yeah. And how much oxygen? 50% of the oxygen we breathe. That's what is known by the scientists, which we laymen, people like me, don't know.
Yes,
exactly.
Yes.
So every other breath that you and I take, we should be thanking the whale or the phytoplankton. Now, why am I telling you this? Because the whale likes to eat krill. The krill likes to eat phyto. Okay, but the phyto, in order to survive, it needs phosphorus, it needs nitrogen, it certainly needs iron. Where do you find these 3 ingredients? In the poop of the whale. So it's all about poop. And so the whale eats the krill eats the phyto needs the poop of the whale. So I watched it for the next 4 years. How these whales, they're very smart. They poop at the surface, fertilizing the phyto. The phyto becomes very active, and as become more active, there's more phyto, there's more krill, there's more food. Now, why am I telling you all this? Because when the phyto is more active, it grabs more carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. So one question for us is, well, how much do these whales capture directly on their body, which is, I just told you, 9 tons, and indirectly through the fertilization of phyto? How much are they contributing to the fight against climate change? Well, it turns out that if you were to do the calculations, one whale is equivalent to thousands of trees. So here I am. This is science now, but I'm a financial economist, as you introduced me. So I know how to value things. That's what we do in finance. So I thought to myself, well, if this whale is providing a service to humanity, what's the value of that service? Right? I work for the International Monetary Fund. I provide a service, and they pay me a salary. So how much should we pay this whale for her services? Turns out that the present value of its lifetime earnings is over $3 million. Now, why is that important? Because right now, if a ship were to hit a whale, a beautiful blue whale, the penalty is 0. So which means our market system worldwide puts a 0 value on a living whale. Yet this whale is providing a service to us that is worth $3 million as a living whale. But kill that whale, chop it to pieces, feed it as meat in some countries where they still eat whale meat, the whale would fetch $40,000. Imagine, 40,000 dead versus 3 million alive.
Yes.
So I wrote the first piece with my colleagues, telling the world, well, we're facing climate calamity. Turns out that a living whale, just like trees, also help in the fight against, just like living trees. So there is value to living nature rather than extracting from nature. That's how we started. Next, I get a phone call from a famous scientist in Paris. His name is Fabio Birzagi. And Fabio says to me in his Italian accent, "Hey, Ralph, you valued the whales." And because the paper became very famous. But I also discovered with my colleagues that in the elephants in the forest, in the Congo Basin, in the forests of Africa, these are not the savanna elephants, these are the forest elephants, also help to sequester carbon in the trees. I said, what? Yeah. How? He said, well, those elephants, they have a proclivity for eating plants that are low in fiber and traipsing around, by traipsing around on the underbrush and feeding, they leave the big trees alone. And so the big trees grab more carbon. So they published a study in the top journal, Nature, showing that the presence of the elephants in the forest increased the carbon sequestration in the forest by between 7 and 14%. And then they discovered when a forest loses its elephants, it loses its ability to grab carbon. And he said, despite all of that, And despite the fact I published this paper, and the New York Times picked it up, the elephants are dying, and they're on the endangered list. Can you help me? Just like you did for the whales. You told the world how valuable their service. Can you value the service of the elephants? And I said, sure. So we worked together with the team, and we valued the service of a single elephant, just from carbon sequestration alone, is over $2.6 million. Now, compare that with poaching a beautiful elephant, taking its tusk.
Ivory, yes.
You fetch, if it's a prized ivory, maximum is 30,000, versus a living elephant that's 2.6. Once I did that, demands started coming. Can you value the services of a living dolphin, sea otter? Because no one had done that, you see. Now, UNEP and Grid Arundel came around and said, can you value seagrass for us globally? This seagrass, you know, the ones that when I was a kid, I would go to a resort and I would complain about my feet touching it.
Yes.
Well, I'm about to tell you something.
Squirmy.
Exactly. And you see the resorts trying to remove them because they don't want the tourists. Well, guess what? I'm glad you're sitting because I'm about to tell you something. We just finished that study for United Nations. So what we did, we looked at seagrass globally. Now you have to understand something about seagrass. They grab a lot of carbon. And as the seas are rising, they continue to grow and sequester more. And they live for a very, very long time.
Okay, I'm going to interrupt you there because we have to take a commercial break. When we return, the conversation with Dr. Ralph Chammy will continue. So folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
At Doctor's Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctor's Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
JN Money touchdown. Send the money now. Reach wow. You say you need some money. JN Money, I can send it in a hurry. Get through quick when you come collect your cash, or use your money card and swipe it in a flash. Send funds to any bank, yeah. Pay your bills quick, yeah. Low fees, you know it, yeah. JN Money, we are pick, yeah. Send and receive funds at any JN Money location. It's fast, affordable, and convenient. Money touchdown with JN Money. Send funds to any bank, yeah. Pay your bills quick, yeah. Low fees, you know it, yeah. JN Money, we are pick, yeah.
Call 345-945-2014 for details. Available at JN Money locations across the Cayman Islands.
Make your house into a home. Welcome to Brand Source Home Gallery, your source for premium products and a premium experience. We'll design and install your dream kitchen with crafted cabinets, complemented with elegant appliances. We'll fill it with quality houseware and cookware. Custom-designed closet and storage solutions organize and beautify any area. And with the finest bedding, you'll get a perfect night's sleep knowing Brand Source Home Gallery has everything you need to make your house a home.
For the record with Ort Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matters. For the record with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. It is my pleasure to have in the studio with me Dr. Ralph Chammy. Just some additional background information for you. He has developed a novel way to tackle both climate change and biodiversity loss by repositioning species such as whales and elephants that you've heard him talk about earlier as crucial allies in the quest to sequester carbon, secure climate-resilient ecosystems, and generate income for local communities. Hear that, folks? You can generate income from local communities and not necessarily having to do so by building these huge concrete structures damaging or mangroves, removing our mangroves, building seawalls that redirect the flow and wash away our beaches and everything else. So there are a few sea creatures that we have here in the Cayman Islands as well, and we're going to get his opinion on those. What is it? The benefits that we get from our rays, from our turtles, even though we don't have as many as we used to have, but we do have a turtle center, and we do continue to release turtles in the wild as well. So, Dr. Chapman, the mic is back over to you.
Thank you so much. So I left off talking about seagrass. Well, first of all, just something that you said, I just wanted to underscore. People used to think, or still think, that only trees capture carbon. With this work, and this is not really my work, this is the work of the scientists, is that it's not about just flora, it's about fauna. It's about biodiversity. That's what matters. A forest without its animals and its creatures is not a forest. It's just dead bodies just looking at you, and you think it's pretty. You plant a forest of pine trees, but one virus can kill them all. That's why the diversity, the biodiversity, the diversity is what matters and what creates life and help you in creating a better environment. In this case, because we are concerned with climate change, the focus is on the carbon side.
Yes.
But it's much more. The whales are not only capturing carbon. I studied them for 4 years in the water, and they do a lot more than that. But the reason I am focused on the carbon is because I wanted to link the nature that we have, this incredible nature, this gift that we've been given, that if we look after nature, nature will look after us. That's basically it. So back to the seagrass. So I was asked, can you value the seagrass? So my team and I sat down to work on the seagrass and realized that seagrass lives for hundreds and hundreds of years, and with the oceans rising, they continue to grow. So valuing the seagrass globally, I hope you're ready for the number, just in carbon sequestration alone is over $2.3 trillion. Wow. $2.3 trillion. But something that you mentioned right before I came on, again, is flood. Well, seagrass is a great natural barrier to flooding. So if you were to add the value, because how do you value their help in maintaining flooding is by saying when you lose them, you have to build a seawall. Well, how much is the cost of a seawall and the cost of maintaining the seawall?
Yeah.
If you were to do that globally, you'd add another $2 trillion. Now, seagrass does even more than that. It turns out that the scientists in Australia, in the Great Barrier Reef, discovered something about seagrass. When seagrass is healthy and growing, the fish love it. They lay their eggs there and they hide there.
Yes.
So there's an impact of seagrass on food security. But seagrass does even more than that. It has a knock-on effect, positive knock-on effect on the coral reefs next door, nearby, because they purify the water. But you can apply that not only to seagrass, to salt marshes, mangroves, wetlands, peatlands, kelp forests. Science, this is all new science. So people ask me, why now? I said, because the science is telling us things we did not know. So we can be excused not realizing the value of a living nature here. We've always valued nature, but from a dead perspective, meaning we only value the trees. When you cut it down and you sell it as timber, suddenly a fish only has value when you suffocate it, take it out of water, fry it, and eat it. It has a value. Yeah. But what is the value of a living fish, of a living ocean? So now, we started doing these valuation. People came to us and says, can you value sea otters? Can you value the services of sharks? Can you value the services of turtles? Can you? And my answer is usually, I'd love to do it, but the first pillar of this work is, what does the science tell us? Once you have that, then my job is to translate that knowledge from science into the language that we consumers, policymakers, markets, because I'm a financial economist, I wanted to bring the markets into this conversation. because why markets have trillions of dollars and they can move very quickly once they understand that there's something in it for them. So what's in it for them? This is not about philanthropy. This is not about, people say, conservationists say, well, but nature is intrinsically beautiful. I said, yes, of course it is. But that beauty has not stopped us from killing it. That's what Sir David Attenborough is worried about. Sir David, whoever watches his shows, is talking about the death of nature and biodiversity. So then we are really facing two risks here. We are facing the climate calamity and the death of nature at the same time. So to solve the problem, you cannot solve this problem sequentially. You have to tackle it both at the same time. So how would you do it? Well, if you go through nature and invest in nature and its resilience, then nature will boomerang it back to you by reducing the climate risk. By how much? Well, the latest IPCC report tells you by 37%. That's the latest report 2 weeks ago. The scientists say nature can deliver at least 37%. So what are we waiting for? Now the question is, how do we do it? So that we don't go back to the old model of putting our hands out as conservationists and begging for money. Can we make it incentive compatible for the markets? And the answer is yes. Now let me show you how we can do this. So we have this pilot project in Gabon. Gabon has done a phenomenal job of looking after its animals, especially the elephants. Every other country in Africa has pretty much lost some or all of its elephants. I mean, imagine Côte d'Ivoire. Côte d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast. No more elephants. That's okay. Whereas Gabon has done a phenomenal job of doing it. So Gabon has, let's say, what we know for sure. Well, right now they discovered they have 95,000 elephants. But when we were doing the study, we could find proof of 57,000 elephants over 17 protected areas. Okay. They used to have about 195,000 back when. So if you were to build that stock from 57,000 to 195, what would you get from it? Aside from the fact you're helping to regain what was lost, those elephants are sequestering carbon. So, and I just valued the services of one elephant. Yes. So can we act on it? And the answer is yes. How? We can sell the carbon offset of the elephant. To whom? To all these companies that want to offset their carbon footprint. Rather than planting trees, we say, look, the elephants are about to go extinct. Let's take, for example, Microsoft, just for this sake. We go to Microsoft and say, you want to offset your carbon footprint? Yes. How much? Well, let's say 100 tons a year. I'll sell you the services of 4 elephants. We're going to call them Ralph, Claude, Charles, and Grace. These are the names of my siblings.
Yes, okay.
Okay, all right. And what we're going to do, we have technology now that can monitor them as they frolic freely in the forest, because you can only get that value if they're frolicking freely, not tied to anything or imprisoned. No. They can only sequester carbon in the forest if they are doing what nature wanted them to do. So we can monitor them for you. So you, Microsoft, pay me the money for their service, and you in return are going to get the carbon offset. Now that money comes in, enters through a blockchain technology, enterprise blockchain, so there's no cost on the environment.
Right, yeah.
And that money goes directly to look after the elephants in perpetuity and the local communities, to pay the rangers and to compensate any damage that these elephants do to the farmers and to the communities around them through building schools, building hospitals. So there's a development angle. Now, what does Microsoft get out of this? Well, aside from getting the carbon offset, they get to put on their website that they're saving the elephants of Gabon, that they are alleviating poverty, they're creating jobs, they're creating resilience in the people and the land. When you create resilience in nature, you create resilience in the people, because people in nature interact with each other all the time. So they get all of that. How valuable is that to
PR?
You got it. They are going to be all over it because they got to put it on their website. Yes. They got to say what a great citizen of the world Microsoft is. So Microsoft's not getting carbon, is getting a certificate. It's a plus certificate. Carbon is just part of that game. Now, what does the government of Gabon get? Or listen to this. They're going to get, first of all, a part of that flow that's coming in, because the rest of it enters into the blockchain, goes to the people directly. Okay? But they also get, because people have more money, they're going to spend more. So your consumption base expands. Therefore, your tax base expands. And government of Gabon spends a lot of money protecting its forests and so forth. You don't need to do that anymore because the forests pay for themselves.
Excellent. Good point for us, again, to take a commercial break. Folks, top of the hour, headline news at 9 o'clock. That's very short. When we return, the conversation with Dr. Ralph Chammy will continue, so don't change that dial. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice. Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
The 7-day rolling average for COVID-19 is now at 92 as Public Health releases the COVID figures for the 3rd of May. There are 1,227 active COVID-19 cases with 7 hospitalizations. The Sister Islands reports 26 new cases. Good morning, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines in news elsewhere. The European Union has proposed some of its toughest measures yet against Russia, including a total ban on oil imports and sanctions on war crime suspects. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said the package was aimed at maximizing pressure on Russia while minimizing damage to Europe. She said Russian crude oil would be phased out within 6 months. And a man has been arrested on suspicion of assault with a deadly weapon after an onstage attack on U.S. comedian Dave Chappelle. The suspect had been carrying a replica handgun that contained a knife blade. A spokeswoman for the Los Angeles Police Department said Chappelle has been unharmed, but the suspect has been taken to a local hospital for medical treatment. The incident took place while Chappelle was performing at the Hollywood Bowl. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matters. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Dr. Ralph Chammy. He is, is it a VP? Assistant Director at the International Monetary Fund. Of course, he's an economist. And some very interesting conversation in relation to biodiversity as well. And while we don't have elephants here like Gabon, we have other assets as well. And in general terms, he will be touching on those subjects as well. Back over to you, Dr. Chammy.
Thank you so much. Just to wrap up on the elephants, so how much can Gabon get out of in terms of annual revenue if we were to do this? $600 million. Okay, easy. Now, in case of countries that have incredible, what we call coastal blue carbon, such as mangrove, seagrass, salt marsh, you can do the same thing. It's actually easier because these are fixed assets.
Yes.
They don't move, right? So what communities can do is sell the carbon offsets of the seagrass, salt marsh, or mangroves, if you like. And you never sell the asset. That's what I want to underscore. And that's always my advice everywhere I go to the local communities and governments. You don't need to sell the asset. You sell the services of the asset. You are being paid actually to look after it.
And in our case in the Cayman Islands, where the water,
yes,
the seabed is referred to as the Queen's Bottom,
yes,
it means that the government has control over that. So any permission to do anything with the sea bottom, you may not be familiar with this, but we have had a case in one part of the island where they were seeking to develop a hotel, tourist attraction, and wanted to remove a certain portion of the seagrass. We have had cases in the past. This would have been in the 80s, 70s, 80s, 90s, where persons have illegally removed seagrass to create a beach, for themselves. And we here in the Cayman Islands know the value of the seagrass. You spoke about it before, yes. About the young fish, it's a spawning ground and everything else. There were times when in certain districts on the island you could actually walk out in the water, and if you wanted to get your lunch, a lobster or a conch, you basically, it was right there. That no longer obtains. But back over to you, sir.
So in the case of coastal blue carbon, what you can do is, you see, we were probably excused many years ago because the science didn't tell us.
Yes.
So, but now we know. That's the beauty of investing in science. And so people ask me this all the time, why now, Ralph? And I said, because now the science is telling us. I mean, the science on the elephants and carbon is 2019. On the whales and carbon is started with Andy Pershing's paper of 2010, and then, so it's relatively recent that science is revealing what a living nature, that's what I want to underscore. We know how to value dead nature. It's a living nature. So how do we act on it? Let me go directly to that. Once you have the science, you have the valuation. And the valuation that I'm talking about is market valuation, meaning you are only valuing the services for which markets already exist. So you're not creating prices out of thin air, right? We focus on carbon because there's a market for carbon. What's happening in the market for carbon? The price of carbon is skyrocketing. Right before the Ukrainian calamity, the price of carbon on the European ETS, electronic trading system, was $110 per ton, and it was expected to go into the hundreds. When the Ukraine crisis happened, it dropped to 60-some, and then went back up right away, now into the high 70s. And every forecast of carbon is that it's going to go into the hundreds. Why? We don't probably have time to cover it, but because of the commitments to go carbon zero by countries is creating an insatiable demand. Why is that important for us? Because countries that have natural capital, such as seagrass, salt marshes, mangroves, kelp forests, wetlands, peatlands, all this, can now capitalize on this, protect them, never sell them, but sell the services of these assets to a world that is hungry and needs the offsets. And therefore you get a win-win-win, I call it, because the local community never sells its assets. It ends up being paid to look after its assets, and that money comes in, makes sure that if it's mangroves or seagrass or what have you, they are growing, they're restored. If you've lost them, you can restore. You can be paid for restoring them, by the way, under the REDD+. And so by restoring them, you get better environment. You're definitely helping in terms of the climate risk, but the money comes into the local community. It creates resilience in the local community. Young people don't have to leave. And it's sustainable income. And it's livable income. It's not just meager income, it's sustainable income because you're being paid in perpetuity. So that's the win for the local community. For the government, of course, benefits, because when you expand the consumption base, the government the revenue also expands. You bring in new businesses around the protection and regeneration of a living nature. And the offsetter, the countries and the companies that need to offset their carbon footprint, who are they, by the way? Every company right now is being asked worldwide. If you're in Europe and the US, certainly being asked, what are you doing in terms of the environment? And what is your impact? In Europe, they're moving further. They're talking to companies saying, what is your impact on biodiversity? So right now, things are voluntary, but pretty soon the regulation is coming and saying, show me what your impact is. So local communities could benefit from that and say, come here, man. Why don't you invest in the protection and regeneration of our nature? And in return, you not only get to tell your regulator that you offset your carbon footprint, but you helped alleviate poverty, you helped to protect nature, you created resilience. How much is that worth to companies? To be part of a narrative for a company that they are great citizens of the new world. The message here is the current system is unsustainable. It's predicated on a view of the world that we live outside of nature. The correct view is the one that our ancestors knew without anybody telling them anything, that we As one tribal chief once told me in the U.S., Indian tribal, he said, we learned to walk this earth softly. Wow. So we just, let me end it with, I was raised by the Jesuits, and I remember the parable of the Prodigal Son.
Yes.
My view, my interpretation of it is we need to come home. As the young son came home, we need to come home, but more humble and a bit wiser while we still have time. And nature will welcome us all the time. And nature's around us. We've taken it for granted for a long time. But and since it's our home, just like we are so good at looking after our home, fixing the roof, fixing this, fixing that, well, we need to fix what we've done, the damage what we've done to nature. And nature will reward us in perpetuity.
Okay. Now, I want to ask you specifically, for the Cayman Islands, because you've spoken in general terms, and while much of it is applicable to the Cayman Islands, because of our small size, we're so much more fragile, so much more vulnerable, and there are those who complain about the rapid pace of development, but development that is extremely myopic, and the only focus is how much money can I make now. We're famous for being pirates, or pirates being here, and unfortunately, some of us are of the view that we have the modern day pirate now here in the Cayman Islands. How quickly do we need to act, and what is it that we need to do to try to at least retain what we have left of our natural environment?
So let me, if I may recast it this way.
Sure. This
work, people ask me this all the time in many countries because everybody's feeling the pressure of time. Mm-hmm. Time is not on our side, and that's a statement for every country. Okay. So what do we need to do? Well, here are the three pillars of this work. The science is telling us we have enough science. By the way, if somebody tells you need more science, say no. This is a waste of time now, my friend. The time is not. We are not in normal times. According to the IPCC report, right? That's the authoritative report. Mm-hmm. We have less than 9 years. In some cases, less than 7 years. In some cases, less than 3 years. So time for talking and chatting and reflecting is done. Now time for action. This work says, the science tells us what biodiversity can do for us. Okay. People like Ralph and others can value it, put it in dollar terms. Why? So it sits in front of the policymaker, and the policymaker is very good at doing cost-benefit analysis. This model is not about save nature because nature is beautiful. We already know that. But that model has failed. The model that this says nature is not only just beautiful, but it brings prosperity. So, but for this to be unleashed, you need the third pillar, which is policy action.
Yes.
Why? Because the nature, the question is, who can speak on behalf of this nature? Who owns this nature? Because if you want to take it to the markets, the first thing that the markets people from the financial sector, I mean, you have the greatest financial center in the world here. They're going to ask you, who can speak on behalf of this? So that has to be vetted. In some countries, like in New Zealand, the government has conferred personhood on rivers. Can you imagine? Wow. New Zealand is way ahead of anybody else. They conferred personhood on a river, meaning a river has the same rights as you and me. In Costa Rica, they're conferring personhood on bees because they realize without bees, they're dead. So there's a recognition of how valuable a living nature is. That's a policy action. Once you do that, the markets are very good at reflecting the views of the society. Looking to the markets to give you your values is chasing your tail. That's not the right way to do it.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
When the society reveals its preference through its policy action, the markets are very good at pricing it out. And then what you have is you have the policy action from top, and you have the underbelly coming from the financial markets, and together they change the behavior of the economic agent in between. Therefore, when you ask me, okay, specifically, well, you need the policy action. I'm not familiar with of your country. I mean, what you're telling me is first time I hear this. Mm-hmm. So the next thing would be, once you have the policy action, those natural assets acquire a value. So now let's say a developer comes and says, I want to do this, and I'm going to destroy the swamp. Now the swamp has value. So whether you grant the permission or not is going to be based on what is the value of the swamp, alive and well, versus what you're going to offer me.
Right. See,
what you bring into the equation now, something that was perceived to be zero, or actually looked down upon. And you're saying, no, alive and well, it's worth a lot of money. I'm just giving you as an example.
Sure. No, that's
and as a result, it helps you in making your decision because you're now better informed about the value of the natural asset that you have, that you thought in the past, as I thought, was seagrass. Who wanted to touch their feet? I remember all of us complaining, there's too much seagrass, and now it's gold.
Yes. Okay, we're going to take another commercial break. Dr. Chami, folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, Cayman.
Are you feeling sick, but don't feel ill enough to go to the doctor? Ask your pharmacist for advice. Here at West Bay Pharmacy, our pharmacists have been trained to offer helpful, easy-to-understand advice on the treatment of everyday minor ailments for yourself and all the family. Anything from headaches, cough and sore throat, to cold sores, our pharmacists will know when medical help is needed and will not hesitate to refer you to your doctor if your symptoms demand it. Like doctors, our pharmacists have a professional code, which means all personal information you give them will be treated in the strictest confidence. Visit us today at West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
Make your house into a home. Welcome to Brand Source Home Gallery, your source for premium products and a premium experience. We'll design and install your dream kitchen with crafted cabinets, complemented with elegant appliances. We'll fill it with quality houseware and cookware. Custom-designed closet and storage solutions organize and beautify any area. And with the finest bedding, you'll get a perfect night's sleep knowing Brand Source Home Gallery has everything you need to make your house a home.
We think it's time you crossed over to a new vehicle. And with the Toyota Corolla Cross now at Vant Motors, you have plenty of reasons to make the switch. The crossover body and hybrid engine is a sleek design in a sturdy structure with a spacious interior that opens to extensive cargo space. Stuck in traffic? The high-performance self-charging hybrid system automatically switches between gas and electric vehicle mode, helping you lower both fuel costs and carbon emissions. The Corolla Cross has full LED lighting inside and out, an integrated display audio system with energy monitor, and a dual-zone climate control system to ensure comfort for all. Test drive the new Toyota Corolla Cross Hybrid today at Vant Motors, Walkers Road.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matter. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. It's my pleasure to have in the studio with me Dr. Ralph Chami. And I want to also share with you some additional publications that goes to his credit. The future of nature markets, a carbon sequestration market to protect nature. With Ralph, is that a podcast or?
That's the paper is a white paper. There's a new task force on nature markets that just came into existence, and we, together with colleagues, we penned the white paper. That's the future of nature markets, because what people don't realize, there are already nature markets that are in existence, right? I mean, food, all that stuff, but the governance of it is is an issue of tremendous importance. What ought to be the governance of nature markets? Because obviously we've abused that nature with impunity. And so the question is, because we cannot continue to do so, what ought to be our relationship with Mother Nature? And we cannot just depend on markets to do it. We need to protect the rights of nature towards the markets and towards everybody else. So that's what this white paper is really about. But it starts by saying, what do you mean by nature markets?
Yes.
What are you talking about here? Yeah.
And to remind you that Dr. Chami is an assistant director at the International Monetary Fund, and he's also co-founder of Rebalance Earth as well. So it is our pleasure to have him here in the studio and also here in the Cayman Islands. Brings a fresh breath of air, to the discussion, and also it's so clear in your explanation that any layperson can really, follow it. So I'm going to throw the mic back over to you for you to continue, sir.
Thank you. So we were discussing, how do you bring these things to the market? And sometimes I get the question, why now, Ralph? How come why weren't we talking about this? And the answer is, first of all, the science, as I said before, wasn't there. Even if the science was there, the technology was not there. Meaning, how are you going to monitor what's happening to nature? In the case of the elephants, are you going to tag the elephants? And the answer is no. Are you going to tag the whales? No. Then how are you going to track them? Well, if you allow me, I'll give you an example. In Chile, I work with the Chileans. There's an incredible project that's now a national project called the Blue Boat Initiative. People can find it on YouTube. In Patagonia, in the Gulf of Corcovado, they are installing buoys in the water, and each buoy probably costs over $1 million. Why? Because that buoy, in it is a chip, and that chip can detect a whale in real time. It can detect its location and at what depth. Plus, it can tell you what species of whale it is. Wow. Is it humpback? Is it fin? Is it right whale? Is it whatever else? So what that buoy does, it tells you what kind of whale it is in real time, and then it beams that information to satellite. The satellite sends the information to a land center, and the land center sends a text to the ship saying, "We see you. In your way is a humpback. Take action." Wow. So that's how recent? As recent as my conversation with you. They're getting ready to deploy the first few buoys in the water. So why now, Ralph? Because science is new, technology is new. Now, is technology enough? The answer is no. Why not? Let's go back to the example in the water. So you tell the captain of the ship, there's a humpback in your way. Now, as you know very well, turning around a ship or slowing down a ship not to hit a whale is not an easy matter.
Yes.
It takes time, it takes effort, it takes a lot of things, and it's very costly. Because if this captain were to be able to slow down the ship or stop the ship or change course, that means he or she may be delayed in delivering the cargo.
Yes.
So the captain who adores the whales is going to say, wait a minute, if I slow down, I'm going to be late, and there's going to be penalty. So, okay, what do I do? Well, what if I hit the whale? I don't mean to hit the whale, but what if I hit the whale? What's the cost? Well, I'll tell you what the cost is. Today, 0. Despite everything I've told you,
yes.
the current value of a living whale is 0. So, although he loves the whale, he has no choice. So he hits the whale, skewers it on the bow of the ship, and sails into the harbor. And this beautiful mother, with the calf inside her belly is dead for everybody to see, but there's no penalty. So obviously then the technology itself is not enough. So how do you change? What can we do? Well, suppose the government of Chile were to say, if you hit my whale in my water, Shami and his friends, by the way, we have valued the whales of Chile. They tell us that the value of a single whale is over $3 million. So if you hit that whale in our water, because we can see you, the penalty is $3 million. Now let's go back to this captain who's making his calculations in his head. And he says to himself, or she says to herself, man, if I hit that whale and they find out about it, I'm in for $3 million. Whereas if I slow down and I move or this or that, yeah, there's penalty, but it's far less than $3 million. But the game doesn't stop here. The moment the government of Chile were to make this announcement, what will happen is something really phenomenal. Is the insurance company that insures the whale is going to tell the owner of the ship, say, wait a minute, my friend, when we wrote that contract for you, there was no asset in the water worth $3 million that you could damage. So come back here. We're going to exactly. So what we're going to do is renegotiate your contract. We're going to say either you are not insured if you hit a whale, so it's on you, or we're going to raise your premium, or you are going to install on your ship a device that keeps you and the whales away from each other. An early warning, so you have enough time to. So what, because the idea behind this is not to penalize anybody. We don't want to penalize. We want people to change their behavior. So notice what I'm describing to you. A policy action by the government, it generates a reaction in the right direction from the markets. In this case, the insurance company. And what happens is now the captain says, okay, so the owner actually says, okay, I'll pay a premium, install that thing, and I'm done. You see? Now, God forbid, I do hit the whale. Okay, but I did the best that I could.
Yes, exactly.
You see? Yeah. But there's more to this than that, because now the rating agencies that are rating the securities of this company say, well, they're insured against these, whereas the other companies are not insured. So we're going to rate your securities as AAA, and those guys are going to be AA or A minus. You see? So what happens is the market starts to price the good behavior, and the market and policy reinforce each other. That's what we want. That's why when you ask me the question, what can we do?
Yes.
What we can do is create the policy space through providing, see, the whale is valued as a live whale. So the government of Chile is saying, I care about this whale life because it's capturing carbon on behalf of me and behalf of humanity. I don't want you to do harm to it. So by endowing the whale with those rights as a living whale, the markets figure out very quickly, I can create service around it. In this case, insurance.
Yes.
In this case, better rating. But ultimately, what really matters here is you change the behavior of the economic agent, who suddenly becomes a great steward of nature. Not because he loves nature, because the incentives are in that.
Yes,
and that's what we want. Because you cannot rely on people's goodwill only.
So true. So true.
You see, we need to provide, we need the system to reinforce those values. But I find people telling me, why do markets are like this? I said, well, my friend, if you find the markets not behaving the way you want them, it's because your values aren't reflected in it. Either you're not exercising what you believe in through your consumption choices, investment choices, and who you vote for, or maybe your voice is in the minority. I mean, but as my dear mom would always tell me, do your job. Right? That's all you can do. So this is how you... So, as I said, why now? Technology is here, but it's not enough. Science is here. Now, the third pillar that is here is the demand is insatiable. And that comes from the fact that once after the Kyoto and the Paris Accord, anybody could see that the price of carbon started moving up. Because there were commitments. There were commitments to go carbon zero, carbon negative, carbon neutral. But these commitments were commitments to a date in time. So originally it was by 2050 we are going to do this. That was predicated on taking certain steps now.
Right.
We didn't take those steps. So as a result, 2050 became closer. Think of time as a train coming at you, picking up speed. So the world was supposed to take actions to mitigate the problem by 2050. We didn't take those actions. So 2050 became 2040. And we didn't take any action. So now it's not 2040 anymore. It's 2030. And the longer we take at making up our minds, or my mom used to say, no dilly-dallying, Ralph. Get on with it. The
train is getting closer.
Very close. Now, from a market perspective, the demand and the urgency for technology that can sequester and reduce carbon, because there's a reduction of emissions and there's an offset. They're two different things, right? It becomes, the demand is urgent and it's insatiable. Why? Because you have the demand. The question is, where will the supply of the service come from? And there you have two options. You can go high technology, or as my dear friend of mine calls it, earth tech. Now, the high tech, as Greta would say, is a lot of blah, blah, blah. And I'll tell you why. My first degree is in sciences, physics. And so when you study those offers of technology, it's a lot. Well, they say, well, we have this carbon machine that will grab carbon from the atmosphere. Okay, fine. What are you going to do with it? Oh, we're going to pump it into the ground. Really? Who told you that's the right thing to do? Just because you can do it. Who told you it's right? And can you guarantee me that it's going to be in the ground forever? No. We're going to pump it into the ocean. Really? Well, the ocean is turning acidic. So who told you it's the right thing to do? Just because you can do it. And can you guarantee me that that this carbon you're going to pump is not going to come bellowing up when my son is in his 20s or my grandchild is in his 20s? So we bequeath them even more carbon than before. Yet there's a worse case to this, which is if you invest only in high technology to solve the problem, it yet again divorces us from nature. Because somehow we get the wrong impression that we don't need nature. I just have high tech. Well, that's how we got into this predicament anyway.
Yes.
You see, so what's in front of you is Mother Nature. It's saying, come to me. You come from me anyway. Well, and I'm the easiest one and the cheapest. There's no machines. Just leave me alone.
Yes.
So here I want to clarify something. People say, are you telling us we should go back into the caves? And no, not at all. I'm saying when you do development, typically the way we do development, we agree on a contract of what we're going to do, and then we walk outside the door and we say, oh, geez, I forgot that what we agreed on will pollute this river. So the river becomes, our action on the river, we call it externality. I'm guilty of it myself because I used to teach theory of externality to my students. I practiced this, but I found the errors of my ways. And once you see the light, you're held accountable.
Yes, yeah.
So the question is, then how do you fix this problem? By bringing the river into the room, into the conversation. So as you and I are debating what kind of development we're going to have, the first question is going to be, what is the damage to nature? You see?
Shouldn't be an afterthought.
Exactly. It should be not an afterthought. It should be part of the conversation. You still will develop, but it will force humans to be even more innovative than they are right now, to still develop and still do what they need to do, but in ways that what we call is nature positive. It's not either or.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to take a commercial break, folks. Please stay tuned. The conversation with Dr. Ralph Chammy will continue shortly.
Every day in the Cayman Islands, nonprofits and their volunteers work tirelessly, improving our communities and the lives of the people within them.
With GiversPlanet.com, you can make a difference by supporting a fundraising effort or starting your own. Givers Planet provides an online solution to conveniently raise money for your worthy cause. Whether you are fundraising for medical needs, education, animal welfare, youth programs, religious missions, school PTA efforts, or a nonprofit.
Simply create your fundraiser at GiversPlanet.com and spread the word to your your local and international supporters so that they can visit and make a secure online donation. Start fundraising online today with giversplanet.com.
At Doctor's Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctor's Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
JN Money, money touchdown. Send the money now. Reach wow. You say you need some money. JN Money, I can send it in a hurry. Get through quick when you come collect your cash, or use a money card and swipe it in a flash. Send funds to any bank, yeah. Pay your bills quick, yeah. Low fees, you know it, yeah. JN Money, we are pick, yeah. Send and receive funds at any JN Money location. It's fast, affordable, and convenient. Money touchdown with JN Money. Send funds to any bank, yeah. Pay your bills quick, yeah. Low fees, you know it, yeah. JN Money, we are pick, yeah.
Call 345-945-2014 for details. Available at JN Money locations across the Cayman Islands.
Celebrate this Mother's Day with Cayman Crystal Caves, Sunday, 8th of May. Guided tours include complimentary beverage, carnation, and chocolate, strawberries for mom. Then enjoy a relaxing Mother's Day experience at their Treehouse Cafe. Space is limited. Call 949-2283 or email info@CaymanCrystalCaves.com to book your Mother's Day tour. Change it up this Mother's Day with Cayman Crystal Caves. Didn't you hear? Crystals are a mom's best friend.
Are you a Caymanian status holder, or a resident of the Cayman Islands who is interested in enhancing transparency, accountability, ethical standards, and promoting awareness in public bodies? If you are civic-minded with the highest level of integrity, the Commission's Secretariat, on behalf of His Excellency the Governor, welcomes your expression of interest for appointment to the various statutory commissions. For more information on the commissions and candidate qualifications, visit the Commission's Secretariat website at www.commissionssecretariat.gov.ky.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matters. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. It is my pleasure to have in the studio with me Dr. Ralph Chami, sorry. He is a financial economist. He's also an assistant director at the International Monetary Fund. He has been brought here to the Cayman Islands by the Premier. Of course, the whole issue of sustainability is one that is important to us here in the Cayman Islands, and also forms a part of the Premier's portfolio as well. Now, in researching Dr. Chami for this interview, I also came across publication that he did, that he produced in relation to avoiding the remittance trap. And in mentioning that to him, he has done more than just this publication, and I'm going to ask you to tell our audience, about your expertise in this area as well, because this is of such importance to us here in the Cayman Islands, because at one point in time, we were a receiving country when it came to remittances. We have now flipped the coin, and the remittances are leaving as opposed to coming in, and it is important for those who are affected by it and those who may have their views but not necessarily the scientific or the professional view on it, for you to share that with them as well, Dr. Chami.
Thank you. So remittances, people have to understand, So what are remittances? Let's define what are remittances. So I live in the United States and my mom lives in Greece, and I send her money. She worked very hard to invest in me and to get me educated and all that stuff, and therefore I got a job in the U.S. and I send her money. So remittances are, first of all, familial transfers, transfers among private citizens. So why am I sending money back to my mom? Because I love my mom. I want her to, I want to repay her for the love that she and the investment she did in me. So, first of all, these are not capital flows. That's the first thing. Yeah. Capital flows come in to profit from an occasion. I'm not sending money to profit, except maybe more love from my mom, but already her love is infinite. So the idea is I'm sending money back because she's in Greece and things may not be so great for her, so I send her money. And if things don't get better, I send her more money. So the first thing, when I started this work over 25 years ago, that was the first question I had to answer, which is, what is the nature of remittances? They very much are affected by how close you are to your family and your affinity to your country. What they're not affected by is interest rates. Because whereas capital flows come into a country or not come in based on, is the situation stable, is there avenue for profiting, that's capital flow. Yes. Whereas when I send money to my mom, I'm just trying to help her out. She's 80 years old. Do I want her to invest? No, she invested in me and in her kids. What I'm doing, I'm sending her money because I want her to enjoy herself. So money that goes back as remittances is really geared for consumption, not investment. And the other thing about them, which is really cool, is that when things got worse in Greece, I send her more money. So we call them, in our language, counter-cyclical. Okay. Meaning when the economy in Greece is not doing well, you find always that remittances into the country increase. Whereas capital flows is just the opposite. If you are investing in a country and the country is going downhill, you take your money out. So capital flows by nature are pro-cyclical. Remittances are counter-cyclical. And what we also found out, our remittances are incredibly stable. Of course, they were tested by COVID and by 2008 crisis, and I did a lot of studies on that. But let's just say, in general, of all the flows, when you compare it to official development aid, when you compare it with portfolio flows, when you compare it with capital flows, remittances are the most stable. They are so stable that even the governments that receive, where the remittances come in, got used to them. Because why? They are also a source of financing for the government. After all, I may send $200 to my mom, and somebody sends $500 to his mom, and another one $50 or $100. But when you add them all together, for some countries, it's about 45% of their GDP. For some countries, I have a number of studies with colleagues where we actually chronicle for many, many countries, remittances are over 10% of GDP. Imagine. Or 20%. That means if 20% of GDP, that means you're walking down the street, you have $100 in your pocket, $20 of it is from your brother or sister or your parent abroad sending you money.
What are the potential downside for those countries where those remittances are coming from?
Okay, so that's, since I'm living in a macro institution, premier macro institution, IMF, that's what the question was. So let's take it first at the household level. At the household level, it's very good because what it does, it provides income, free income more or less, right? Because your brother is I'm sending money to my mom, or to my brother in Greece. That's one. It also insures them against shocks. So, especially 2008 financial crisis, they lose their job, I send more money. So it's a form of insurance for households. It's also sometimes a form of financing in the sense that my brother may get the money from me and he may open up a business. Whereas if he had to go to a bank to ask for a loan, the bank will say, go away. Okay. There are some side effects to it which are not so savory on the individual side. It creates a sense of dependence. Why? Because I'll send money to my brother and I'll say, are you finding a job, Charles? And he'll say, I'm looking, but I can't find one. Why? Because now with the money that I send him, he has the opportunity to choose what he wants to. So we call it in economics, his reservation wage has gone up. You see, he can afford it because leisure to him now is more valuable.
Yeah.
So it may create a sense of dependency. Now, what I was asked at the IMF is, what is the macro impact? That is where things change. Because what we found out in certain countries that receive a lot of remittances, if I'm insured from the outside by my brother, do I really care what the government is doing? The answer is no. Why? Because as long as they don't touch the remittances, what do I care? So we found, from a governance point of view, it weakens governance. Because I'm insured. So I am no longer asking, my official, what are you doing? Because what do I care? If all my money is coming from abroad, what do I care what's happening here? My consumption is insured. But it's a double-edged moral hazard. In the sense, the government in that country, where the remittances are very high, they know that I'm receiving the remittances. So they say, why should I provide you free education or free medicine? I know you can purchase it with the money you're getting. And in fact, that's what we find out. We find out that people that receive remittances are using them for what they're intended. They purchase private medicine, private education. So as a result, the government is not under pressure to provide these public goods. As a result, governance weakens in those countries. That's the first thing we found. Second thing, that was a publication we some time ago. It's called Are Remittances a Curse? The other thing we found is countries that receive remittances, their exchange rate becomes very expensive. Why? Because imagine a country where a lot of dollars are coming in. These dollar price in the current in terms of local currency becomes cheap, which makes the exports of this country more expensive. But it does more than that. What you find in countries where remittances come in is the real estate market is flourishing. You find restaurants are flourishing. All kinds of services that we call them non-traded. These are sectors that are not exposed to the rest of the world. These are purely local. They thrive. And what's not thriving is the traded sector, which is the sector that's competing with the rest of the world. Why? Because the currency has appreciated, so they are not able to compete. Whereas the other side, you find restaurants and all kinds of retail stores, and real estate market is booming, construction is booming, and prices are rising there. So people start moving out of the traded sector into the non-traded sector.
So what about the impact that any impacts, or can you point to some of the impacts that that are created in the sending country?
Okay, so what matters? So I'm sitting in the U.S. sending money back to Greece. So what impacts whether I send or not send? Well, how much I love my family, how much I'm attached, but also what's happening to me in the United States. So what we found is when the financial crisis 2008 happened, remittances dropped. Why? Because there was a recession. A lot of people lost their money, but it persisted because people were sending money from their savings back home. That's one. Two, when COVID came, that was different because for the first time, everybody was hit. So you're now in a receiving country. You're not getting the money because your family abroad is also hit. So they're not able to send money back home to you. So the question is, and the people so I'm not sending money back home. That's because I've probably lost my job. But we also found out that the incidence of COVID in some countries was high among the migrant workers because there's a housing issue in countries, I will not name, they house migrants 60 to one place, and that's a big issue in terms of humanity and what morally and ethically they should be treated. Plus, the cost of remitting is very important. Back in the day, Western Union you'd send money, and you would send $100, they'd take $25. That's a lot of money for a migrant. So, and in one of the SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, is actually, I think it's called 10 or 10C, SDG 10C, is we should be reduced in cost of remittances, of sending remittances by less than below 3%. Okay. It's not even now. And right now, on average, it's over 7%. Wow. So cost of sending money home. So if we want people to send more money home in the sending countries, we need to reduce the cost of remittance. The other thing that we found out is when the recession hit, especially when COVID hit, losing, we provided, like in the U.S., we provided social, protection to the citizens through guaranteeing wages. And well, because the migrants are involved in the production process, that should have been extended. That should be extended in many countries to the migrant workers too, because how do you come out of a recession if you lose your migrant workers? In some cases, migrant workers lost their ability to stay in the country and they were sent home, and many of them were infected. So they ended up going home to countries which are already not able, these are poor countries, not able to deal with COVID themselves, and having their citizens coming back with no money and with COVID, it was really taxing everybody. Okay. Now I want to say something about, people ask me this all the time, what about money leaving the country? Well, here's an issue for you. Let me ask you a question. You hire me as a carpenter. I build you to build a table. I build the table, you pay me my money. From a macro perspective, that's all already counted in the GDP of the country. Okay. Because we exchange goods. So now what I do with that money is my business. In some countries, I was asked, should we tax remittance outflows? And I say, but why? The migrant already provided the service to you. It's already counted. Yeah. So you basically, if you tax it, you're really not paying him or her the wage, the $10. You're paying them $2 or $3. Yeah.
Okay. We're going to take our last commercial break. When we return, I'm going to give you an opportunity for some closing comments, Dr. Chami. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Since March 2004, West Bay Pharmacy has kept their doors open to the local communities, even before, during, and after Hurricane Ivan. At West Bay Pharmacy, our staff provides so much more than pharmaceutical excellence. From the moment you walk through our doors to completing your cash out, our staff will have put your healthcare concerns at ease. We would like to take this moment to thank our loyal friends and customers. To us at West Bay Pharmacy, our patients are our primary concern. We provide thorough background checks and precise calculations to ensure your medical safety. Thank you for being a part of our family and for choosing West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
Every day in the Cayman Islands, nonprofits and their volunteers work tirelessly, improving our communities and the lives of the people within them.
With GiversPlanet.com, you can make a difference by supporting a fundraising effort or starting your own. Givers Planet provides an online solution to conveniently raise money for your worthy cause. Whether you are fundraising for medical needs, education, animal welfare, youth programs, religious missions, school PTA efforts, or a nonprofit.
Simply create your fundraiser at GiversPlanet.com and spread the word to your local and international supporters so that they can visit and make a secure online donation. Start fundraising online today with GiversPlanet.com.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice-cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, Cayman.
The Health Services Authority's new pharmacy is now open at the Smith Road Medical Center. The new location features a large, comfortable waiting area and ticketing system to improve the patient experience. All uncollected prescriptions and refill requests previously submitted will now be available for collection at the Smith Road Pharmacy. Request your refills online at hsa.ky via WhatsApp 925-6532 or call 244-2715. For more information about our pharmacy hours, visit hsa.ky.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matter. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. We have about 5 minutes left in the show. Was going to give Dr. Chammy an opportunity for some closing comments. And in those closing comments as well, if you could tell us what some of the new trends as far as remittances are concerned. Now, I know this has deviated, from the whole issue of sustainability and everything else, but, it is, still of interest to us here in the Cayman Islands.
Thank you. They actually, you can create the line of connection with what we were talking before. But let me, on the remittances themselves, what we're finding out, for example, that in cases of countries that have gotten used to their people leaving and sending money home, that more people are leaving, but they're sending not necessarily more money. So I was asked that question, Ralph, can you figure out this puzzle? It turns out that for that particular country, I'm not going to mention the country, but say, their people used to go to a certain part of the world where the migrants could not acquire or residency. And as a result, they would just send money home as fast as they can, and then at some point they had to come home. Mm-hmm. What the new trends are is that people are going to countries where they can actually acquire residency and bring their families. Now, if you bring your family to the new country and you're a resident, why would you want to send money home? Mm-hmm. So what's happening is these are new trends where our people are going to develop countries, or industrial countries, I should say, and as a result, they are able to acquire residency and bring their families with them. The older model was you just went and worked and you couldn't bring your family. So now let me turn it around and answer. Sometimes I get this question, a lot of remittances are leaving our country. What can we do about it? So for those countries, and this is not for me, I can only speculate on possible options, but that's for each country to decide for itself. The question is, ask yourself, this person is here, he's providing a service to me that is worth $10, and I give her $10. So we've exchanged, we're done. Now, if you want those $10 that she made to stay in the country, you have to ask yourself, why would she want to keep them here? Either because her family is here, then the question is, can she bring her family here? Mm-hmm. Or can she invest? Is she allowed to acquire real estate? Is she allowed to invest financially? These are ways that are, in a sense, voluntary. I believe in that. Mm-hmm. And so remittance outflows is not like remittance inflows in that respect. So that's on the subject of the new trends in the other thing we found during COVID, which is kind of interesting, is the resilience of remittances. People continued to try to send to their families, which tells you how those ties are. The other thing is, unfortunately, is linked to the climate. Climate calamity is going to have a lot of many millions of people on the move, unfortunately, because when nature loses its resilience, people lose their ability to stay in their land. So part of the project that we started talking about is creating resilience in nature, stabilizing people in their land. To the extent you're not able to do that, we are likely to see hundreds of millions of people on the move within a country, from lower ground to upper ground, or to places where there's no rain, to places, or across borders. Mm-hmm. And that brings with it a lot of issues. Certainly, remittances may increase, but there are a lot of other issues that we worry about that are likely to spill beyond the borders of countries.
And people are not necessarily eager to leave their homeland.
Of
when
course
we look at the situation in Ukraine, many refugees, but they all want to go back. Some people would assume the fact that, they would love to, because of the war and everything else, if they go to Poland or they go to the United States or to the UK or whatever, that they would want to stay there. A lot of them have expressed their desire to go back home.
Absolutely. As my 12-year-old son, now he's 22, once told me in the car, he said, Papa, what the world needs? I said, what? He said, more empathy.
Okay.
We need more empathy. Put yourself in their shoes. Would you like to be yanked out of your country overnight and having to leave everybody that you loved, everyone that you know, to end up in a new country you have no roots in, you don't know anybody, you don't even know the language? That is not an easy proposition.
Certainly. Dr. Chami, I want to thank you very much for making yourself available, being here. I'm sure that our audience, listening and viewing, enjoyed the discussion and your expertise as well. Folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman and by extension For the Record into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, wherever that may be. I also want to remind you that we are our brothers and our sisters' keepers. There is always someone out there who's less fortunate than we are, and I ask you to extend a helping hand. And if you can't do that, then I suggest you donate to a worthy charity, because we always want to consider those who need, not necessarily those who want or even those who crave. So I say to you, have a great day. Continue to support your radio station, Radio Cayman. Join Sterling Dwayne Banks at 12:15 for Talk Today. And as usual, we ask the good Lord to bless and sustain these three beautiful Cayman Islands.
For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury. West Bay Pharmacy, taking care of your health. And JN Money. From abroad to yard. Fast, affordable, convenient. Doctor's Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctor's Hospital. Always there for you. Call 949-6066. And giversplanet.com. Cayman's online platform for fundraising and charitable donations.
Satisfaction is guaranteed 24 hours a day, whether it's music or information.
From Grand Cayman to Cayman Brac to Little Cayman, we've got you covered.
You ever hear a thing like